Check it out. What I needed to hear wasn't coming in clear, and what I now know is only partial info.
Welcome back to In Pencil. I'm Adam,
And I'm Jess.
and today we're going to do something a little bit different. As part of our In Pencil music series, we're going to be doing a tier list. Do you want to tell us about the tier list we're going to be ranking today?
Yes, so today we're going to be ranking the albums of Reuben Studdard.
Wait,
Because, what?
that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, we're ranking Reuben Studdard, you know,
No.
the American Idol winner from...
That is not at all what we're... Did you even check your email? That is not at all what we're doing.
Hold on one second. John Reuben,
Yeah,
not Reuben Studdard?
not Reuben Studdard. I don't even know who Reuben Studdard is.
Oh my goodness, are you telling me that I listened to all 7 of his albums and I have serious thoughts on Sorry 2004 and Make You Feel Beautiful, and we were going to do John Reuben instead?
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break real quick and we'll come back and do this
Can I
again.
believe this?
Yep.
Every time.
8 hours later.
All right, welcome back. We have fixed our issues, I think. Who are we doing again?
Yeah, people been like, yo, Reuben, where you been?
We're doing John Reuben,
John Reuben.
the professional rapper, not Reuben Studdard, the American Idol
Non-rapper.
idolist.
Reuben, what is he dippity doing? Come on, ladies, sing it.
John Reuben, one of the most influential Christian hip-hop artists of all time, self-declared at this point to be the greatest Christian rapper.
Greatest Christian rapper.
Musically extremely unique, also extremely diverse. Signed to Goatee Records in what, 99 or 2000?
I mean, John Reuben's been like the rapper that I've probably most identified with for most of my life because he rapped about things differently than what other Christian artists did. When I was a kid, obviously youth group, when he first came out, that's where I was.
Cause nowadays music's too political and maybe just a bit too predictable.
And it sounded different than the other rap I heard in Christian circles. And I liked it because it sounded more raw and more real. And it just, makes you want to go like, what else is out there? This isn't the regular radio airplay Christian rap, if that was a thing.
So I've always had a lot of admiration for John Reuben, and so I think that he deserves a little bit of attention and a little bit of credit for his contributions. I think one of the reasons he got attention or popularity as much as he did is because between him and KJ52, they were often considered by like church youth groups to be like the Christian alternative to Eminem. And since Eminem had gained so much popularity in the mainstream, then it was like church dads would like to have something to give their kids that was more, I guess, acceptable.
Less Eminem?
Less Eminem, less explicit. But thematically, if you listen to John Reuben's lyrics, especially as he evolves throughout the years, he goes into topics about, he goes into like social commentary and racism and inequality and just sort of the way certain people have hypocritical worldviews, all that. Topically, he's extremely unique and diverse, and he's a lot deeper than I think most people are willing to admit on first glance.
Yes, I think I think your thoughts are thoughts. No, I mean, I think I don't have anything else to add to that, but I guess now we should start ranking. If you've never seen a tier list, well, I know we're about 6 months behind. This used to be the thing on YouTube,
Right.
And Twitch even. But we are doing a tier list where S is the top tier and D is the bottom. It's fighting rankings. I mean, does anybody know why anything ever happens? We could have researched this and gave you all the background, but we're just going to talk about these 8 albums at the bottom.
Yeah.
Instead. And you can see we have all 8 albums here that we're going to discuss.
Yep.
As me saying, the 8 albums we're discussing are the 8 albums in the bottom.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to do my ranking first, and then if you disagree, we're going to reset, and you can do yours.
I need like a button that just makes a really annoying sound every time I disagree with you.
We could, I mean, you could make that sound. It probably wouldn't be good for the video, but you can make that sound if you want. All right, let's just go ahead and get started. So we'll start with year 2000. Are we there yet? So are we there yet? I'm gonna put. I've went back and forth on this. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I went back and forth. I'm gonna put it as an A, only because
must be the money. Sorry.
Only because there are other albums down here that I think are just slightly better than Are We There Yet? But for his first debut and for the first time I heard him, yeah, I was instantly hooked on this album. I think when I look at the track list, which I'm looking at right now, I can remember the lyrics to probably about 90% of the songs on this album, and they're all catchy. It's a very like late 90s style, kind of traditional hip-hop album, aesthetically, but then again, obviously topically, this is still very much like an appeal to sort of mainstream Christian hip-hop. So but yeah, I'm gonna put it at A, and then I'm gonna bring Hindsight up to a B.
Ooh.
And then when I look at
I don't know what I'm doing over here. I'm just over here just going, ooh,
You're doing
I don't know what I'm supposed to say because I'm supposed to wait to give my ranking and I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah. Well, you're doing I mean, you could be like, and then I'll just be like, that's okay.
You sure it's a B and it's not a S plus?
Yeah. So I'm gonna put it. I've gone over this a few times in my head, and I think I'm gonna put it as a B. For kind of the same reasons. I'm ranking these compared to one another. Anytime you're doing this for any musician, you have to compare their work only to itself because it can't be compared to anything else that's outside of what the artist has produced. So if I'm comparing this to like other albums of the time, like for example, if I were to compare, I don't know, Reliant K's debut to John Reuben's debut, I would put John Reuben up here and Reliant K right here. But since I'm comparing all these to one another, this is my logic. So that's how I'm going with. Hindsight, I felt like it was slightly weaker than Are We There Yet? And when I've gone back and listened to all these recently, I think I'm still pretty set on that. I feel like it's a little more personal, but also a little more, I don't want to say mainstream, maybe like poppy. I'm not sure how to describe it. I would put them in this way. And then I would move Professional Rapper straight up here, right next to Are We There Yet? Professional Rapper, I think, is where, ironically, we saw him going a little more like rock focused. I don't know if that's really like was the intent, but a little more influence from the rock world.
You see a more rock. What am I trying to say? You see more rock collaborations.
So anyway, then I'm going to take, I think you already saw this one coming. I'm going to take The Boy versus the Cynic and shove it straight up here in the S tier. For the longest time, I felt like Boy versus the Cynic was the epitome of what a hip hop album should be, period. There's so much content on this album that even when I go back and look and listen through today, I still pick up on new things that he's talking about. And I still pick up on new topics that I never really.
Cause none of us want to hear about where we go wrong. This song could easily be from me to you or me to John. Cause I have the potential to be the guiltiest.
at first listen, you may not really, I think really kind of applies to all of his albums, but this one in particular for me, it may just come across as just a normal sort of pop punk inspired rap album. And topically, you may not really delve into it too deeply. But again, when you pause and focus on the lyrics and the content, there's a lot that goes on here. And this album was, I think, intended to be two separate albums, where it was The Boy, which is a more positive sort of more positive outlook or worldview, and then there was The Cynic, which has more obviously cynical topics, and you can almost pick out which songs on this album were supposed to go on which of those projects, and then you got merged together and released as one thing. So word of mouth. I went back and forth on word of mouth too.
Is this what everybody's talking about?
Not anymore, but I went back and forth on
where's it going?
word of mouth too. I'm actually going to put it right next to Hindsight, just because going from The Boy versus the Cynic to word of mouth, it's something entirely different.
Everybody's got a great idea. Do you own the one you're encouraging? There's a first time for everything. After that, it starts to get confusing. Hold on to your identities loosely. At least the revolution will be amusing.
The production on this thing has a lot of different influences. It's more experimental. Most of the songs on here are outstanding and catchy, and I think topically maybe slightly less dense than The Boy versus the Cynic, but still. I'm putting it here just because going from The Boy versus the Cynic to word of mouth felt like a little bit of a decline. And that's not to be negative at all. Like comparatively, this album in the year that it was released, which I think was like 2007, was my favorite album of the year, right? So, but when you compare it to these other projects, I put it there. And then I bring in Sex, Drugs, and Self-Control. I put it right here.
Say that you love me. Show me on the dance floor. The dance floor.
This is the first time I think that when John Reuben released an album that I felt like I couldn't really get into every single track on the album. Like there were some tracks that I felt like were not instant, but skippable, which is a first for me because most of these other albums, there aren't really, if I were to sit down and listen to it straight through, there aren't many tracks that I would just skip over. But this album, it just kind of didn't come across the same way as the others, if that makes sense. So this one was 2009. Then 8 years later, he came out with Rubonic. And Rubonic started with the short film titled Rubonic, which had clips from several different tracks on the album, and that came out before the actual album was released.
No satisfaction, suffocating joy. Never made an idol that didn't disappoint. So kill the noise, kill the noise, kill the noise.
And it just felt so fresh and new and completely different from anything he'd done before, but it still sounded like John Reuben. And topically, it was almost as dense, if not more dense, as than The Boy versus the Cynic. And so I'm putting it right there. Yeah, I love this album, and I feel like these two albums here are John Reuben's like magnum opuses, and I feel like these reflect so much of who he is. I feel like they're his most authentic, most personal albums, most relatable, and most honest. So that this album I feel like is his best. So, and it's sad because more people haven't listened to this. You hadn't even listened to this until I shoved it down your throat. So
That is true. We were in the car together back when, people got in cars together.
Yeah.
And you made me listen to this. You listen to this.
All right. So then this year, John Reuben released the self-titled album, John Reuben, also independently, just like Rubonic was released independently. And half of this album is featuring another guy, Alana Augusta, which he had featured back on Professional Rapper on the last track, Higher. But on this album, he's like literally all over it. So it's John Reuben featuring Alana. Most of the tracks remind me of, like, stylistically sort of take me back to Hindsight. And I don't know if that's just like an aesthetic thing because the covers both have bright colors, or sonically they just sound similar. Topically, the songs are still sort of social commentary-esque with a little bit of sarcasm mixed in and humor and just sort of the same Reuben stuff that he always does. But I felt like going from Rubonic, which I felt like was a masterpiece, to John Reuben, John Reuben, the album, which I don't think was, I don't know how to say it. It wasn't the same thing. And I think maybe that's because maybe the cynicism from Rubonic wore off a little bit, but even still, there's still a lot of humorous social commentary. I don't know how to really explain it any better than that, but subjectively, I would put it down here with in the C tier with Sex, Drug, and Self-Control. So I think that ultimately is how my tier list plays out after a lot of thought and listening back to his albums. And yeah.
I like your nice order of 2 S's, 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's.
Yeah, it just fell out that way. Before I had put Hindsight, or not in Hindsight, Are We There Yet up here, and I had something like this going on. But ultimately, I think this is how it, if I'm honest about it, this is how it plays out for me. So
yeah,
maybe we can average them out too.
Yes.
All right, so now you have control.
Okay.
Let's see what you got.
So now that we've reset, it is my turn to take control, where I will be ranking these as well. So first, we're going to start with Are We There Yet?, which was the first John Reuben album I, of course, listened to because that was a lot of people's first John Reuben album. It's good. It's a very Christian music in the late 90s, early 2000s. You mentioned Relient K earlier. It reminds me a lot of Relient K and how it started off very fun and silly before the serious stuff took over.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of put it, truthfully, I put it down here at B.
Okay.
And again, these are our different rankings.
Right.
We're going to be different because the way you ranked them a lot had to do with over the years. And for me, I just went back and listened to all these songs a few hours ago, of course, as everyone knows, because John Reuben is not Reuben Studdard. Common mistake, I know.
Yeah.
But no, I went back and listened to these, and I wanted to see how me in 2020, how me in November 2020, how I felt about these albums and these songs. And it changed a lot than how I would have felt about it in November 2010 or November 2016 even, which of course, obviously a few of these albums wouldn't be on there.
Right.
But I put this here. It's fun. Hindsight, I did just truthfully, I did not own Hindsight back in when I was a kid. I bought Are We There Yet? And then I bought Professional Rapper. I just skipped Hindsight. I don't know why. It's okay. It's another one that is okay. It's not my favorite. Then I don't really have much to say. It's got some good songs. Both Are We There Yet and Hindsight have some really good catchy singles. Do Not and what's the single? Doing? Yes.
Doing.
which is always confusing that his songs are "Do Not" and "Are We There Yet?" and then "Doing." In hindsight, it's like, wait, what? But they're good. Which one's the one where he's in the ice cream truck and he starts rapping while all the kids want food? That's "Do Not," isn't it?
I think that's "Do Not." Yeah.
I always love that music video because all the kids are like, give me stuff. And he's like, let me rap. So professional rapper, this had a lot of great songs on it that I think still hold up, such as, I Haven't Been Myself, Freedom to Feel. Had some fun ones like Jammin' Johnny and Mixing Manny. And then you got like 5 Years to Write, which is a really interesting one. And then Life is Short, which was like the song that played all the time. And so this is actually ascending to my, oh no, it keeps going. It's off the charts.
Can you bring it back? There you go.
Oh, good. I'm going to put this as my S tier. Oh no.
Okay.
Wait. Well, there it goes. Then we got to Boy vs. the Cynic. Boy vs. the Cynic used to be my favorite album. And this is where 2020 Jess differs a lot from like 2015 Jess. The Boy versus the Cynic, and this is what we're going to see for like the rest of his albums, and even some in his previous albums. A lot of talking about what other people are doing wrong. And the Boy versus the Cynic gets into some serious topics.
Yeah.
Politics, religion, but it's a lot about how you're wrong, and it's a lot of pointing the fingers. It's November 2020. I'm tired of pointing the fingers. It's a good album, but it will not be S tier for me ever again because of that.
Okay.
And it's sad because I think it's a good album, but I'm just like, it's so judgmental.
Yeah, but 2005 needed the Boy versus the Cynic.
I don't know if it did. I don't know if we needed judgmental ever. We got that a lot with DC Talk in the 90s, and I can go on a rant about the problems with DC Talk music theologically versus like Audio A and Newsboys. But I don't know. Judgmental Christian music is, no matter which way it's judgmental, it's still judgmental, and I just cannot. I don't like it. I lived it, and seeing it one way, and then I listened to the Boy versus the Cynic because it was saying the things. John Reuben was saying the things that I was believing and feeling. But now, 15 years later, I'm not saying that I'm feeling different about it. I'm just saying like I'm tired of hearing it.
Okay.
And so it hurts the album to me, and I think that's what a lot of early aughts music and even a lot of 90s music, it just doesn't hold up as well for me anymore because I'm not in that same place. And also I've seen what that type of rhetoric has gotten us into as a society. And yeah, I see the end result, and it ain't great, is what it feels like to me. Word of mouth, I'll be honest, I don't remember much of word of mouth. Outside of I'm just gonna look real quick, but I'll be honest, outside of the title song, it doesn't do much for me. It just kind of exists. And also it does, it has like Trying Too Hard, which again, kind of gets into a judgy thing. And then I'm gonna say something that's gonna blow everyone's mind and make them think that I am if I can line this up. Wait, are these are not the same size?
They are the same size. Eric, watch out, move your mouse. I'll do it.
Now I'm gonna say something they're not the same size.
They are.
Oh, I just screwed up.
Yeah, there you go.
Never mind. I'm going to say something that's going to blow everybody's mind and make them turn off the video and say, this is the worst video ever. Feel free to comment down below, this is the worst video ever, if you think this.
Okay.
Can I grab this?
Yeah.
I like Sex, Drugs, and Self-Control.
Okay. I mean,
I really
subjectively.
like it. I think I don't care the lyrics. I wasn't really listening to them as deep. It felt a lot less judgy than Word of Mouth, and definitely than Boy vs. Cynic,
Hmm.
but it was fun. It had a lot more fun music to it,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I
Yeah.
will say that's what made it there, because you said there's not a lot of skippable songs in his early albums. I felt like there's a lot of skippable songs because it just isn't. None of them. A lot of songs in his early albums hit 1 to 3 different moods. Like the Boy versus the Cynic had like these two like lighthearted versus serious songs, but Professional Rapper did as well. The Boy
Okay.
versus the Cynic almost wasn't original with having these competing John Rubens. I felt like you saw that throughout his career.
Maybe just for me more pronounced on the Boy versus the Cynic.
Oh, it's very much more pronounced. I will give you that. But I felt like if you look at Professional Rapper, you could almost say there are 2 different albums here too. Like if you took Professional Rapper and The Boy versus the Cynic, I think you could make 2 cohesive albums with very different themes out of just the music from those 2 albums. And Sex, Drugs, and Self-Control just all feels kind of more upbeat.
Yeah. There are some tracks on Self Drugs and Self Control that Sex, Drugs, and Self Control that I really do enjoy. Town Folk, Confident, Burn It Down, Nobi Nah. So yeah.
I love No Beat Ah.
Yeah.
It's so and Paranoid Schizophrenic Apocalyptic Whisper Kitten. My favorite indie band I've ever seen in concert. I mean, it's such a weird name for a song, but I was like, okay, I can get into this, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So what do you think about Rubonic then?
Rubonic is good. I'll be honest here. This is one that I first listened to this year for the first time, and so I've listened to it only about 3 times ever. I don't know. It's tough. It hovers like right here. What if I just put it right here? Because I don't know.
At least the symmetry's there then.
Yeah.
Until you add the next one.
Oh yeah. This one goes. Oh.
Well, hold on. Before you do all that, let's just see what Rubonic.
Yeah. So I mean, I think Rubonic's good. It does. I don't know where to put it. I feel like I'm going to put it down here, and here's why: is because I don't. This one can move. I think it can move between A and B, but for me, it was okay. It felt like, and maybe that was me not listening to rap music much anymore. And I will say that I have had a tendency over the past like 5-6 years not to listen to as much rap. So I don't have my pulse is not on the rap industry, and so that could be a big problem. Where this is, if I had my pulse better on the rap industry, I could rank this one better.
Okay.
And so I'm going to put it right here for now, and it will help with this because this just goes here because okay, it exists.
Okay.
It's got some good stuff in it. I'm gonna move this back up here. I forgot. I thought some of the songs that were on Rubonic were actually on the album John Reuben, but they're actually on the album Rubonic. So I'm moving Rubonic up to an A tier because there are some good songs on here, like
all of them.
Well, yeah.
Identity.
I mean, they're good. Like, I love Bury This First. I think it's a great start.
Yes. It's amazing.
Probably the best start of any of his albums. I'm looking back. Out of Control is pretty good, but
yeah,
Move is good for that album.
Move sets the tone for what album was that on?
Move is on Professional Rapper.
Yeah. I get Move, Doing, and Do Not confused on which albums they were on sometimes.
They kind of can be. I mean, again, some of this, sometimes I'm like, maybe we could make our own John Reuben, like 3 or 4 or 5 albums just by switching up throughout his career, because I feel like there's like 2 or 3 John Reubens and you see them throughout his career.
I'm okay with this.
It's not as symmetric.
My change. I'm moving this up. That's my
Yeah,
change.
Wait.
Personally,
Yeah.
I'm okay. You could put Boy versus the Cynic as an A tier. You can even put Sex, Drug, and Self-Control as a A tier rather than a C tier. But this one, let's just go ahead and do this here. Let's just go ahead and do that. That goes right there, just like that.
Well,
I love that. Yeah, it's amazing. It's
hold on.
What's that?
You ascend. Hold on. Let me see. Ascends into the heavens. Keep ascending.
I think you did. Hold on. Let go.
I did.
There you go. It's back.
So now we need to go back and look and see if we can average these out to see how our two lists compare. So
Okay.
Let's do this. Do you remember which ones were yours and which ones were mine? Because I just forgot which ones I put on mine.
Yeah.
Just gonna be honest.
Well, let's just do a little debate here. So I put Boris Cynic as S tier. You put it as A tier.
So let's just put them in the halfway point. Let's just do all of them in the halfway points if we have halfway points for right now.
So I'll put it there. Rubonic, same thing.
Yeah. Professional rapper, I think. Same thing.
Same thing, yeah. And then I know we put.
Yeah, I think that one was the one
that's a solid C. I think we agree on that.
Yeah.
And then, are we there yet? I'd put it as A. You'd put it as a B, so that would go there.
Yeah.
And then hindsight, I'd put as a B, and I think you put it as a A, right? Or you put it as a B
no,
too?
I think I put it as a C. I thought.
Yeah. All right. Well, then that goes there. And then word of mouth.
Word of mouth, I think, was also. Wait, what was word of mouth? Was word of mouth a B for me?
It was a B for both of us, I think.
Okay. Yeah. You think we'd remember this? And I
we just did this.
Yeah, I put this as an A, and you put it as a C, so it's a solid B.
That's a solid B. So there we go. That's the in.pencil ranking of John Reuben's albums combined as we see them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And truthfully, if we want to do this right, since they're half, they'd all get ranked up. So.
Yep. I'll do it. Hang on.
Okay, you do it.
You're not really good with the whole clicking thing, so there we go. Move that up.
Put this in perspective. We're doing this on Adam's computer, so I'm doing this from a distance.
Yeah.
It's not as easy.
It's all good. It's all good. Not judging.
So
I'm not judging like Boy versus the Cynic is judgy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. This is our average / rounded tier list from the two of us. I think it works.
I think so. I don't know if the man himself would agree with this, but
it would be interesting to see how he would do his own album. You don't see that. I have not seen people tier list their own albums, but it would be interesting to see, like, in hindsight, not to pardon the pun, but hindsight, how you look at your own.
All right, so that's going to be it. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to
like, subscribe, comment.
Do
all that cool YouTube stuff.
All the YouTube stuff. Yeah.
Ring our bell.
I take it, pow. I take it, pow. I take it, pow. That was sick. That was good. That was good. There's some